What's up, man? Welcome to Module 1. Now we're going to talk about what women really want. Originally, I put this piece at the end of this module, but I figured that it should be taught first. Because before you can really understand what women want, you have to get how the society we live in today relates to our basic human needs and drives and how it changes the game. The world we know today is a very different world compared to what our grandfathers and even fathers experienced and grew up in. We now live in a globalized world. If something happens in New York, the people of Mumbai are going to know about it just minutes later. We have the internet, which means that people that are thousands of miles apart can interact with each other in real time. And of course, our society has turned a lot more genderless compared to the 40s and 50s. And that's what we're going to talk about now. You see, back in the day, men and women had specific roles that they were supposed to live in. The men were the workers and caretakers, he took care of his family, while the women were the nurturers who took care of the kids and even took care of their men. When raising kids, the mother was usually the good cop, the all-loving, forgiving parent, while the man was usually the disciplinarian or the bad cop. When a man entered a marriage with a woman, he did so without fear, and usually the couple would stay together for the rest of their lives. For the most part, men were the ones who had it easier in life, at least a little bit, and especially in their marriage. They had rights that women didn't, like sleeping around and going out enjoying themselves. By this time, though, women already had the rights to vote and to an education, so it wasn't too far off there. By the way, when I say that men had the rights to sleep around, that was of course up to each of the families themselves. But since a divorced woman at this time, especially a divorcee with kids, was considered a deadbeat at this time, and since the laws were equal, meaning they didn't get favored in the courtrooms, the woman most of the time tried to keep the marriage together, and it worked. Men were out working 60+ hour weeks while women were home taking care of the kids, cooking and cleaning. Obviously, the man should have some freedom to go out, have a few beers and relax with his friends, and so he did. But then came the 60s and the hippie movements changed our world as we once knew it. All of a sudden, men and women started to question the validity of their gender roles. Women felt that they didn't have the same rights as men, and the feministic movement was born and swept over the Western world, beginning in the United States. Women now said that they were tired of being pushed around and they wanted equal rights. But here's the thing. They didn't get equal rights. They got all the rights. Nowadays, the laws are highly favored towards women. If a marriage breaks up, even though it was the woman's fault, for example, if she was cheating, the man had $1 million and the woman had 0, the woman would still get half of that money, plus the kids, plus alimony. And a bit later, I'm going to tell you why this changes the game. For now, let us explore what else has happened to our society. Men are no longer the masculine males they once were, and the women are no longer the same feminine women. Since the feminists made the governments of the Western civilizations change the laws heavily in their favor while simultaneously removing the gender roles, they created a genderless society where there is now no big difference in how women and men act. At least that's what you think. Actually, what has happened is that men are now the new women while women are the new men. The propaganda that has shined through in our movies, in song lyrics written by manipulated beta males, TV commercials and newspapers for the last 40 or 50 years has given women an almost unlimited amount of power while the men has gotten their manhood stolen and turned into wussies. And wussies, by the way, is a weakling mixed with a pussy. You'll now see women making the important decisions while men put up their wallet and pays for it. At least before, the men made the decisions, they were also the providers and the ones making all the money. Nowadays, you'll have men being both the provider and the bitch. Simply speaking, we men have turned into slaves that work long weeks only to provide money for a bitch at home who don't even cook. You know, they hire a maid for that shit nowadays. But sit on their asses, watch Oprah, and buy expensive jewelry to show off to their female friends with our money. It has gone so far that women now look at men as nothing more than machines that provide money for them while they sit around and do nothing. And while this might seem like a big overstatement, it is not. I've had multiple honest women confirm this. How could this happen? Well, since the laws are now so highly favorable towards women, the feminines now have nothing to lose when signing up for marriage, while the men now has everything to lose. And here's why. Let us say that a man has $1 million in the bank and he holds a job as a surgeon. He marries a good-looking waitress who lives paycheck to paycheck. Thus, she has no real money to show. After they get married, they have a kid. The wife then quits her job because she has to be home taking care of the kid. And no worries, thinks the man. Since she's a woman, I have nothing against her being a housewife. Then what happens is that the wife now starts to gain weight. Actually, she puts on 30 pounds. Also, she starts to sleep with the guy less and less often. If he's lucky, he gets to fuck her once a month. Whereas before the marriage, he could fuck her anytime he wanted to. The man continues to work his butt off, actually working even harder than ever to support his kid and his lovely wife, in quotes, who spends most of his money on clothes, jewelry, and expensive haircuts, going on shopping trips with the other housewives in the neighborhood, and also she starts to become more and more demanding. And you know, at the same time as she gives less and less to the man and to the relationship itself. When the man comes home late one day from being out at a bar or working or drinking, have a few beers, having a few laughs, she'll get angry and start crying because he doesn't communicate with me anymore. She might give him an ultimatum. Either you come home straight after work from now on and spend time with me, or I'll have to leave you. And she can do this with a completely straight face, feeling no shame whatsoever. She has nothing to lose, but everything to win. If her man doesn't comply to her interests and doesn't oblige to her rules, she will take out a divorce. If she chooses to do so, no matter why, she is now legally entitled to half of the man's money. And not only that, she'll get the kids as well. If he does oblige to her wishes, he is now her slave and she can do whatever she wants. Either way, she's set for life. While her husband is at work, she can fuck several other guys, which she often does by the way, and then laugh with her girlfriends or what a sucker her man is. If her man gets a divorce, she will get half of the man's net worth plus the kids. This is reality, and this is how the world works today. When a woman enters a marriage, she has won. When a man does it, he loses. There are some ways around this though, and I'll reveal them to you in a bit. Now we must go a little deeper into this subject, as I think it'll be some of the most important things you'll ever learn in your life. Why is it that women stop sleeping with their husbands once they're in a marriage? If she's attracted to her man, wouldn't she want to fuck his brains out all the time? The simple answer is no. Whatever you've heard before, like women like sex just as much as men do and all that, it is wrong. They do love sex, and sometimes, yes, they can be even more horny and wild than most men. But for the majority of women, it's not as high of a priority. To her, things like talking, cuddling, and having security will be much, much higher on the list. To men, those things are right at the bottom. What does this mean? It means that men and women have different priorities. Men marry a woman or goes into a relationship because he wants steady sex without having to work for it. When he comes home from a hard day at work, tired and hungry, he wants to come home having dinner ready and a nice body to fuck before he passes out. Women, on the other hand, they don't really care about sex that much. Sure, they enjoy it, but if it doesn't happen for a week or two, makes no difference to them usually. And once they do need to have sex, they've either become unattracted to their husbands because they've turned into straight beta males, which means they'll go to a bar with a couple of her friends and fuck the shit out of some stranger instead. Or maybe, if he's lucky, they'll jump their husband's bones. But again, once every 2 weeks is too damn seldom for a man. He wants sex every single day. The point I'm trying to make here is that once a woman has a ring on her finger, all of her obligations are now released. She doesn't need to try anymore. She can relax. She's set for life. But how does this have anything to do with me? I just want to get laid, you might be asking. And I'm glad you asked. I was going to get to that right now. You see, a woman will sleep with you for either two reasons. Number one, she's horny and she wants to get fucked by a masculine, dominant man, an alpha. Or two, she's looking to get on the program and she's sleeping around to see what she can catch. You know, she's often looking for a rich guy or someone who has his shit together. If you're just an alpha male, but you got nothing to show for it, you're mostly going to sleep with the women in category 1. If you're someone who's going places, maybe even rich, but you're still a beta male, you're going to mostly sleep with girls in category 2. However, though, she will often need to see your house first, and probably you'll need to buy her a few dinners and maybe even some expensive jewelry before you can touch her godlike, in quotes, body. If, however, you're both an alpha male and rich, or at least on your way of becoming so, you can get girls from both categories. Simply speaking, you get a hell of a lot more options. And yes, girls from the second category will sometimes sleep with you just for being an alpha, but most of the time you'll miss out on the gold diggers, which makes up a big portion of the pie. Trust me on that. If you've ever studied other seduction programs, you've probably heard that money doesn't account for shit. This is simply not true. The reason you've been told so is to make you feel like you got a chance without it so that you can come back and buy more stuff from the gurus. Also, the guys who told you so don't think like women, they think like men. And in that sense, they believe that women think the same way as they do, but in reality, they don't. I'm telling you all this because I want to tell you the truth. I don't want to create 10 more programs and charge you thousands of dollars telling you that you need every single one of them before you can become successful. I could, but I won't. I already got money, so it's not a problem for me. However, money really only counts when it comes to serious relationships and marriage. If you're just looking to get laid with gorgeous girls from time to time, you know, sleep with them once or a couple of times, then you can do very well without it. And possibly, you could get a very good looking girl to marry as well. All I'm saying is that it greatly diminishes your options. And money has another side effect to it as well. Aside from attracting gold diggers, it also shows to the world and to women that you have a purpose in life. And that is a very masculine characteristic to have. It doesn't have to be money. Later on in Module 2, we will talk about how to find your purpose in life and why it is so important if you want to get good with picking up girls. So to summarize all this and to answer the question, what do women really want? The answer is going to be an alpha male to fuck, a rich guy to marry. And if you're not interested in marriage right now and you just want to fuck super hot girls, maybe even keep them as girlfriends or in a harem, you won't really need any money. This course is here to set your mind straight and making you into a natural alpha male. If you follow through and do all the exercises later, you're going to swim in pussy. Actually, if you really follow the guidelines exactly as I tell you to, the chance of this happening is more or less 100%. Then, when you have that part of your life handled, you can focus on making money or whatever you want to do. My plan is not to keep you in the seduction industry for as long as I can. I want you to graduate so that you can go do whatever you really want to do with your life. All the while, you sleep with gorgeous girls. Isn't that what it's all about? Oh, and by the way, almost forgot. Before I told you I knew a way of how to actually marry a woman without giving your power away. And this can be done by writing a prenup. There are more benefits to writing a prenup than simply the money part. Since the woman now doesn't have security, if she divorces you, she'll be back on square one. She can't take advantage of you. She'll make sure to sleep with you when you want to, and she will watch her weight. Also, she will let you go out and have fun if you need to. She will do all this because she now must keep you happy to keep enjoying the good life she has with you. No woman ever wants to go backwards. It's a win-win. By writing a prenup, you get to keep the power in the relationship while both of you are happy. I believe that a written prenup is the secret to a successful marriage now when the laws are so highly favored towards women. So if you're getting married, make sure to write one. It is crucial. In the next video, we're going to talk about the sneaky, unnoticeable ways that women test men. Alright, I'll see you there.